morning, my little dumpster fire babies. How is everyone doing this morning? If this is your first time here, hi, my name is Carrington. If this is not your first time here, but you have not yet hit that subscribe button, I welcome you all to definitely go ahead, hit that subscribe button, click the little bell to be notified of all my future uploads. If you enjoy this type of content, then definitely give this video a thumbs up. And let's get into another testing out a new makeup video. We have a couple of stuff here and there, not tons of new stuff to try, but definitely some new stuff to sink our teeth into nonetheless. So first things first is I have, as I dropped everything, is this NYX Bear With Me Blurring Tint Foundation. We have from Pat McGrath and part of her holiday collection. This is Nude Venus 2 Blush. We have this from Refi Beauty. This is a cream blush in the shade Rose. Then I do want to play around with this palette right here. This is super, super cute. This is the Simply Posh Cosmetics Fairytale Fairies palette. And then there's a couple other things I want to try, and they're kind of big. So first is I want to test out some of this Danessa Myricks Lightwork 3 palette. There's some really cute shades in here that I think might go really well with like the Fairytale palette. You know, we have the ability to use some for highlighters. We've got some of these like flakies. I do not like these. They're in the middle. They're in the middle pans. These right here, flakies. I don't like these. But the rest of them are just like that is like butter, like silk, like hello. But this right here, it just kind of takes quite a bit for it to be removed enough. That's not my favorite, but the other, okay. And then my best friend bought me from YSL is these lips. So we have a ton of different like lip options that she got me for Christmas. I am so excited to try those. So if you guys are excited to see what look I come up with, what I think of these products, how I would rank them at the end, then definitely keep on watching. So first, diving right on into the Simply Posh Fairytale Fairies palette. As you can tell, this is definitely a very like pastel type of palette. You do have some like deeper, like more grungier tones down along here, but for the most part, it is definitely very like pastel based. So let's go ahead and let's move right on into some swatches. So first up, right here, we have the shade Fantasy. This is like a bubblegum pink. We then have Storybook, which is a light pastel lilac. We then have Dreamy. This is a pastel sky blue. Up next, we have Pixie, which is a pastel mint green. Following up, we have Whimsical. This is a little bit more of a mint, pastel mint. Then we have Charmed. This is like a yellowish green. Moving on to the shimmer row is this first shimmer right here. This is Mythical. So this is a pink purple with some yellow to it. Next up is going to be Enchanted. This is like a pink purple orange. Next up is going to be Wishes. This is a blue purple green yellow type of shift. Then we have Ethereal. This is like a darker green, has some lighter greens and yellows in it. Then we have Fairy Dust, which is going to be like more of a mint with some lighter shimmers in it. And then we have over here Sparkles, which is a very light kind of army green with like, or not army green, light, like a light lime green with some like yellow gold in that as well. Then we have Once Upon a Time. This is a very like maroon berry type shade. We have Fairytale. This is a purpley gray. Then we have Magic. This is definitely more of like a sky type of blue. We have Mystical, which is more like a teal. We have Evergreen, which is definitely more of like that evergreen. And then final shade is Woodland, which is kind of like a mossy oak type of green. So Now, what type of look do I want to dive into? First shade I want to kind of dive into is going to be this shade right here. This is called Fairytale. And that's going to be more that like bluish, purplish silver. Now, this does have a little bit of kick up in the pan. It wasn't a ton. It's not atrocious, anything like that. Definitely just going to take some time building and blending this color up. Just going to take a little bit more. And just again start working on building, blending all over. The next color that I kind of want to move into is going to be this shade right here called Woodlands. I'm going to make this a little bit more of like a grungier green. And I'm just going to focus that. Now these shades are all pretty pigmented. Again, I haven't really tested any of like the pastel type shades, but the other shades outside of that are very pigmented, easy to blend, doesn't get muddy, doesn't get stuck in one area, not experiencing any patchiness. So far I am very happy with this. So far, so good. So then for the outer portion of my eyes, I want to go into the shade right here called Evergreen. I'm going to start there. Ooh, this one has quite a bit of kick up. Quite a bit. I'm going to focus on putting that right out here. So I do want to take a couple of shades from in here to kind of start on the eyes with. So the first shade that I think I want to take is going to be the shade right here called Zen, which is a little bit more like multi-chrome. Yeah, just like so. I'm going to bring it across the whole eye. It's really pretty. Oh, it's really pretty. And it feels, these feel like butter. Like they feel like absolute butter. I want to take, let's do the shade Fairy Dust right here in the center. I'm going to take a little bit of that on my finger and I'm just going to focus that a lot primarily in like the inner portion of my eye. Yeah, kind of looks like that. Add a little bit of ethereal over top as well. We're now ready to move right on into this NYX Professional Makeup Bare With Me Blurring Tint Foundation. Mine is in the fairest shade that you can get, which is pale. This is medium coverage, matte blurred finish. Oh, okay, it's matte. I don't know. When I think of like a blurring tint foundation, I'm not thinking matte, but you know what? It's fine. It's fine. I'm just going to take out a very tiny amount at first. I'm going to stipple some of it onto the back of my hand with my sponge. And I'm just going to start displaying this all over. Although that was a very tiny amount and a lot was picked up by, you know, the sponge on the skin anyways, this I think is the perfect amount that I need. I don't think I need a lot, like at all. Doesn't look bad. Actually looks pretty good on the skin. Next up, we're going to go ahead and we're going to dive on into a cream blush. This is from Refi. This is in the shade Rose. How the hell do you open this? There we go. Wow, that's really tiny. It's a really little amount. Wow. Okay. Okay. All right. Let's see. Does make it a little bit rosy. Okay, so I'm going to do is I'm going to start taking on the back of my sponge, and we're going to start taking some here, and we're going to start stamping that in. So this is definitely a very thick kind of blush. Probably don't need that much to start out with. I would probably next time take it and stipple it onto the back of my hand, just because again, like, this was a lot. That was a lot. That was a lot. But it's a really pretty color. You know, blends right into the skin. Looks pretty. It's just definitely very, very thick. So you don't need a lot of this to just like go into. Probably be good to have to like take in my sponge and stippled it onto the back of my hand and then went in instead of just stippling it and going. Lesson learned. Lesson learned. All right, so let's go ahead. Let's move on into the lower lash line. On the lower lash line, however, I do want to make this a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? Pastel. So I'm going to start off with the shade, let's do Pixie, which is kind of more of that like lighter shade, but wow, does that pick up on a brush or what? And then we are just going to start smoking this out. Okay. Definitely going to have to work on building, which is fine. It's pastel shade. I knew that was bound to happen. Okay. And I'll go into Whimsical, which is that shade next to it. Now we'll focus that a little bit closer to the lash line. I'm going to go into that Evergreen shade, which was what we put on the outer corner. Just kind of smoke it to like that. Then for the inner corner, I think I want to go into the shade, I don't know if I like any of these for the inner corner. Let's see if we can find maybe something in here. Okay, let's try the shade right here called Angels. I'm going to take that. Okay, picks up on a brush. Start. So then it's time to move on into the blush, which the blush that we have is this from Pat McGrath. This is part of the holiday collection that she had come out with at the end of last year. This is in Nude Venus 2 blush. So it comes in like a really, you know, this is her standard packaging, but the design on the front is definitely different, as well as the design on the inside is different as well. It's super, super pretty. You've got like the flowers, and then you've got like stars in the background. It's very, very pretty. So I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to take a little bit on my blush brush, and then we're just going to start stippling this onto the cheeks. Ooh, pretty color. It's a very pretty color. It's got some like warmth to it without being too warm. Just a little bit of like some coolness to it too. It's a really pretty shade. And again, I love her blush formula. It's so good. It's pigmented. I don't feel like it emphasizes any textures, dryness, anything like that. It's smooth as can be. It goes on like a dream, like butter. So this is definitely a really, really good product. I love her blush formula. It's fantastic. We now need to come up with kind of like a lip option. So with the YSL, there comes 4 different types of finishes. So first off, there are 3 of these. which are kind of more like of those like balmy type shades. So as you can tell, you know, like we've got this right here. I don't know if it tells you what the shades are on here. Doesn't necessarily say what the exact shade names are. It does kind of have a, oh, that's lovely. Happens to me every time. Like a fruity type of scent. Then we have this one right here, which is going to be next to that. Right now I feel like these might be a little bit too deep than what I'm wanting to go for. I think this one's definitely going to be like way too deep, truthfully. Yeah. I don't know, maybe that could work as an option. That's a possibility. And then we have these right here. These are a matte stain. So these are stains. I'm not always the biggest fan of stains, but you know. Oh, okay. That's a very interesting applicator. Interesting. Okay. So we have a like red type of color. Again, probably not one that I'm going to be really interested in using. And then this other one is kind of like a mauvish pink. Ooh, this is like a pinky brown shade. That's really pretty. That could actually be a really good contender. So right now I think I like this so far over this. Next up we have 3. These are Rogue Pure Couture. So I'm guessing just like, you know, some basic little lipsticks. So first off is going to be just another red. Not something I really think is going to go with this look. We then have, it's kind of like an orangish type color. Yep, right there. Still a little bit deeper than what I'm wanting to go with. And then we have this right here, which could be really pretty. Ooh. Yep, that's really pretty as well. That could be a really good contender. So I'll keep this. And then last up are these two, and these are just, it just says lipsticks. Doesn't say if they are like, oh, what am I? Okay, never mind. I was going to say like matte, but I don't think these are matte. Looks very streaky. But again, that's probably a color that's not going to work for us. And then we have this right here. Let's see what we've got. Okay. I mean, that's kind of pretty. These all have like a very sweet type of scent to them. So that's not bad at all. So I think what I want to go with, I think I want to start, I want to start, okay. Let's try this. Let's try this. Okay. So it's starting to dry down a little bit, and it does make that stain. I think I want to try going over that. I want something a little bit deeper. Let's try this Shine Balm and see what we get. So here is the completed and final look, testing out some newer makeup products. So let's go ahead, let's dive on into my final thoughts, ranking everything from my least favorite to my most favorite. Coming in last place is going to be this Danessa Myricks Lightwork 4 palette. I do just want to make this very abundantly clear. I actually like all of the products in today's video, but you know, in terms of like needing to rank, this is going to be in last place. The reason being is not because it is anything less than beautiful. Okay, these shimmers are literally like butter. They feel like butter. They look like juicy and healthy like butter. It's wild just how beautiful these shimmers are. The reason why it's ranked a little bit lower, number one, you have 2 chromy flaky shades. I can't even get any of this up. Like, I don't even like these. These right here are liners. They're water activated liners, and then the rest are shimmers. I'm probably not going to pick this every single day to reach into. This isn't probably going to be something I'm going to reach into a whole lot. Truthfully, if I'm lining my eyes, I usually like to use a black liner to help with like putting on lashes. I'm not really going with a whole lot of like colorful type of liners. These are really beautiful and definitely, you know, I could use again. But again, whenever I'm like going into my collection, I'm not sitting there thinking about like singles or, you know, palettes that, you know, a companion palette. I'm literally going into something where I could use all of the shades right here. But if you were using like an all matte, or you're definitely somebody who you really like the multi-chrome effects in here and you would get a lot more use out of it than me, then this is a great palette. Next up is going to be this NYX blurring tint foundation. I think it went on really pretty. I think it, you know, played well with all of the other products. You don't have a lot of issue. You don't need a lot of this, and I think I could see where I could accidentally, because it's more of like a squeeze, where you would accidentally get too much at one time, and then the next thing you know, it's way too overboard. This definitely has the potential. That one little tiny amount, after I had dabbled it into the back of my hand, I was able to cover my whole face. But if I would have went any more than that, that would have been too matte, too cakey, clinging to too many of my tried patches for me to even be able to recommend that. So the fact that I was able to get it work, but the amount that I had to go in with, which was not a lot at all, I could definitely see where if you have like dry skin like me, you may not like this. If you are somebody with oily combo skin, I could definitely see, because it does have that matte aspect, it does have that blurring aspect, it's really pretty. And if you accidentally go overboard and you have those skin types, it's probably not going to be as devastating, whereas if you're dry and now you're looking a little bit cakey and a little bit heavy. Next up is going to be this Refi blush. I think this is very, very beautiful. I will say the products are kind of expensive. You don't get a lot of product in here. You get, does it even tell you on here how many grams that you get? No, it doesn't even like tell you on this packaging. Like, you have to look on the other packaging, which that was like atrocious. 0.05 ounces, so 1.5 grams is what it was. And so one thing about this though is I think this will go a really long way. With this, I would prefer something where either I stipple it with a brush on the back of my hand or a sponge on the back of my hand. Going straight in from this to this could be a little bit overpowering, could, you know, cling to dry patches, things like that. So I just wanted you to be mindful of that. And with the expensive this is and not getting that much product, I am not impressed. Okay, I am not impressed with how little product that you get, but it is very pigmented, so it will definitely last you a while. Next up are going to be the lipstick collection that I got. I thought that was really, really fun. There's a lot of colors in there, and there's a lot of different like textures and like formulas that you get to try. I haven't really tried a whole lot from YSL. I haven't tried really any of their lip products. I like the scent of them, where a lot of other places are definitely very just like rose scented. These are a little bit more fruity, so I appreciate that more. I like that you did get a little bit of a range. You've got some like more neutral colors, you've got some reds, you've got some, you know, other like little pops of colors, some like more oranges type tones. And then again, I do like how you do have some difference. You've got like the lip stains, you've got lipsticks, you've got the lip balms. You've got these, I'm still not sure what these are. It says lipstick on them, but it's just very wet, like very wet, and it doesn't really dry down matte. Doesn't really dry down like a satin lipstick or anything. It just kind of is wet and streaky. But I do like that there was like a ton of different options to play with. I really find like the formula to be really comfortable. Again, I like the scent and how fruity it is. I would prefer that over rose scented anything, anytime of any day, like period. So there's that. Next up is going to be this palette. I think it's a very beautiful palette. It definitely is more of like a pastel palette. You do have a little bit more grunge kind of tones down here, but for the most part, you are going to be playing around with definitely some more pastel type shades. I think it's really, really beautiful. I think the colors were really pigmented. I even thought that the pastels were really pigmented. Just for me personally, I'm not really reaching into pastels a whole lot. I'm not really doing a whole lot with like the pastel type formula. So I just probably wouldn't get like a ton of use out of that. The shimmers are really pretty as well. I don't feel like they're quite as buttery as like the Danessa Myricks ones. you know, like here's this shimmer, but then here's the Danessa Myricks one. As you can tell, they are kind of markedly different, but I do think that it's really beautiful. Most of the shimmers, almost all of the shimmers that are in this palette are a duochrome or multi-chrome of some sort. So there's definitely a lot to choose from. There's a lot of different looks that you can make. So I really do appreciate like the variety, the pigmentation, the ease of use, the blendability, things like that. So my number one pick is going to be this from Pat McGrath. This is going to be that new blush. Again, I love her blush formula. I really love the packaging of this. I love the embossing. I think the embossing is the cutest. It was a really pretty color. It's kind of like a peachy apricot type of shade where it has like that warmth of it. Without it being like too warm, and it has like a little bit of a cool aspect as well. It's like a very nice kind of neutral type color, if I do say so myself. Again, I really love her formula. It's really nice, really pigmented, easy to blend, easy to build. I don't have any issues with it clinging to like texture, dry patches, anything like that, overly emphasizing. It really is a really nice blurring blush kind of formula. All right, so that is it for today's video. I hope that you all enjoyed. If you did, definitely give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to go and follow me over on Instagram. Don't forget, if you have not yet hit that subscribe button or click the little bell, I absolutely invite you to do so. I want you guys to definitely join this dumpster fire family, and I will see you all in my next one. Bye.